On our wedding anniversary, Shanjiang posted a status on WeChat Moments, saying he would divorce me if he got just 10 likes. Attached was a photo of a signed divorce agreement. Under the line for Party A, his name was written in his signature, sweeping cursive. It was like an imperial decree, severing all affection between us. I stared at that post for a long time. The glare of the screen made my eyes ache. I instinctively rubbed them and felt a trace of wetness on my fingertips. Only then did I realize I was crying. No, wait, I wasn't crying. I was laughing so hard that tears came out. 10 likes.
先良就，我确定你。
I opened the post, found the heart icon in the bottom right corner, and tapped it without a second thought. The screen jumped slightly. My profile picture appeared in the list of likes, and I was the first one. I immediately took a screenshot and saved it in one smooth motion.
Then I closed Moments
And opened my chat with Shinyaojiu.
The last message was from a week ago, when he sent, "I'm not coming home tonight."
My reply was a dry, simple, "Okay." Just like our dead marriage. I typed a few words and hit send.
先研究。
I liked your post. See you at the registry office. The message was instantly marked as read, almost at the exact same moment. My phone began vibrating violently. I didn't answer. I set it to silent, placed it face down on the table, and turned toward the walk-in closet. We had been married for 3 years, but I had pitifully few belongings. They couldn't even fill a single suitcase. All the jewelry Senyezo had bought me was arranged neatly in the cabinet. I didn't take a single piece. Those things were never meant for me. Anyway, they were meant for the title of Mrs. Shen. As I passed the entryway, I saw our wedding photo hanging on the wall. In the picture, the girl was smiling brightly, her eyes curved with joy as she was gently held by the man beside her. Her eyes were full of hope for the future. Back then, Shen Yezhou actually knew how to smile. His lips are curled into a faint smile. It isn't exactly gentle, but at least he looks like a groom. 3 years. 3 years is more than enough time to turn a girl full of joy into a woman with a cold, blank face. I flipped the wedding photo face down, leaving it to face the wall. Dragging my suitcase to the door, I take one last look back at this home I've lived in for 3 years. Every single inch of this over 200 square meter apartment is exquisite and expensive, yet not a single inch of it feels warm. The door clicks shut behind me. So quiet, like a soft sigh. But I don't look back. Sitting in the back of a cab. My phone keeps vibrating. Shinjiangzhou has called 7 times and sent 12 messages. I didn't read a single one. I just swipe and delete his chat. I didn't block him, and I didn't unfriend him. I just cleared the chat history because suddenly I feel like letting his cold, one-word replies, "Okay, yeah, and not coming home," clutter my phone's memory is a waste of space. The driver glances at me through the rearview mirror.
He probably thinks a young woman, late at night, dragging a suitcase with red, puffy eyes,
Must have had a massive fight with her husband. He doesn't ask any questions. He just silently turns down the radio. I'm deeply grateful for his silence.
Outside the window, the city is ablaze with lights.
Neon lights shatter the dark night into countless fragments, reflecting on the glass like blurry watercolor paintings. Back when Shen Yanzhou and I first got married, we used to sit in the car just like this. He would drive, and I'd sit in the passenger seat, our fingers intertwined, chatting about everything and nothing. Back then, I really believed that was forever. I thought forever meant the passenger seat would always be mine, that the safety amulet I prayed so hard for would always hang from the rearview mirror, and that the playlist would always be filled with the songs I loved. But then, his female secretary started sitting in that passenger seat. He took down the safety amulet, complaining it was an eyesore. The music was replaced by the classical symphonies he preferred. I actually blamed myself, thinking I wasn't good enough, not considerate enough, or gentle enough. Until one day, I found a photo in his study. It was a picture of him and another woman. The two of them were standing side by side. The woman was holding his arm, smiling so brightly. Written in ink on the back was his name, Shen Yanzhou, and handwriting was elegant. Definitely a woman's touch. I didn't ask him who she was, because I recognized the background. It was taken right under the Eiffel Tower last year, when he went on a business trip to Paris. He told me back then that he was traveling alone, that he stayed in a hotel for 7 days, and only video called me for 3 minutes every day. His tone so half-hearted, like he was just checking off a chore. It turns out, he wasn't alone. I spent the entire night going through his travel itineraries from the past year, his credit card statements, and his call logs, compiling every single detail. The more I dug, the calmer I got. The more I uncovered, the clearer my mind became. Those nights I thought he was just busy working and socializing. The faint trace of perfume on his suits. The way he instinctively flipped his phone face down whenever it rang. All these scattered pieces finally came together to form a complete story. And the title of that story was Betrayal. I didn't cry. I didn't make a scene. I simply locked all the evidence away in a safe. And then I went right back to being Mrs. Shen. When we attended galas, I held his arm with a radiant smile. In front of his parents, I was gentle and caring. In front of his friends, I was elegant and graceful. I did it so well. So well that everyone thought we were the perfect model couple. So well that even Shen Yanzhou himself believed I truly knew nothing. The taxi pulled up in front of a hotel. I checked into a room, took a shower, and lay down on the bed. Only then did I finally pick up my phone. Missed calls had jumped from 7 to 23. The unread messages went from 12 to over 30. The latest one was a voice message. I hesitated for a moment and tapped play. Shen Yanzhou's voice came crackling through the receiver, filled with a desperation I'd never heard before. Jiang Wan, where are you? Make sense of what you just said. What do you mean, you liked a post? That post wasn't meant for you to see. Can you stop throwing a tantrum for once? Throwing a tantrum? I scoffed in his eyes. Everything I did was just me throwing a tantrum. When I asked why he hadn't come home for a whole week, he had I was making a scene. When I asked him who that woman was, he said I was throwing a tantrum. Even when I threw the evidence of his affair right in his face, he still claimed I was just overreacting. It was as if labeling me as unreasonable magically wiped away all his betrayals. I didn't reply to his voice note. Instead, I opened his social media feed. The likes on Shen Yanzhou's post had already climbed to 37. Besides me, his friends had liked it, his business partners had, and even his own mother. His mother had even left a comment. Just a little lover spat. Yeah, Zhao, don't do anything rash. Underneath, Shen Yanzhou replied, Mom, it's fine. She's just throwing a fit. Throwing a fit? He was the one who signed the divorce papers. He was the one who posted it for everyone to see. And now he claims it was all a joke? I scrolled further down the comments, and the more I read, the more hilarious it became.
His buddy Chen Jiao commented, Bro,
Sis is going to be devastated if she sees this. Kick it down, quick! His other friend, Zhao Yufei, commented, Haha, Sis is gonna kill you. Kill him. I didn't even know how to raise my voice. Shen Yanzhou always boasted to his friends about how gentle and submissive I was, that I never lost my temper. He always had this smug grin, proud of how obedient his wife was. He truly believed I was that meek, harmless creature. He truly believed I would never, ever leave him. After all, for the past 3 years, I had indeed been far too easy to walk over. He'd tell me he wasn't coming home for dinner. I'd say, okay. He'd cancel our anniversary trip. I'd say, okay. He'd claim that other woman was just a friend, and I'd say, okay, to that too. I said okay way too many times. So many times that he finally thought I had absolutely no bottom line. My phone buzzed again. It was a new text from Shen Yanzhou. Jiang Wan, come home right now, and I'll pretend today never happened. Pretend it never happened. I stared at those words for a long, long time. Suddenly, I felt sick to my stomach. This man doesn't even know how to apologize. He will never ever say, I'm sorry, or I was wrong. No, what he actually says is, I can pretend it never happened. As if I were the one who did something wrong. As if he's generously throwing me a bone. A chance to keep being Mrs. Shen. I texted back 2 words. No way. Then, I opened my notes app and started drafting a list. In his draft of the divorce agreement, Shen Yanzhou took almost everything. The house goes to him, the cars go to him, and the company shares go to him. Our savings? We'd split that joint marital property 50-50. It looks fair on paper, but I know better.
He quietly moved most of his assets into a premarital trust.
Our joint marital assets are nothing but pocket change to him. He thinks I'm completely clueless. He thinks if he throws a few $1,000,000 at me to get lost, I'll just obediently sign and leave. But he has no idea. I've spent an entire year tracking every single cent of his money, his tax loopholes, and every single one of his illegal business transactions. I have more than enough dirt to drag him down from CEO Shen to a convicted criminal. I spent a whole year sharpening this blade. And now, it's time to strike. First thing the next morning, I met with a lawyer.
Bing Jixie. He was my college roommate.
And he happens to be the absolute best divorce lawyer in the city. He's handled over 100 divorce cases with a 97% win rate. And that remaining 3%? He didn't lose. His clients just decided to settle out of court. 2 Americanos were already sitting on the table. Have you really decided? He pushed one of the cups toward me. I saw Shen Yanzhou's social media post too. To be honest, my first reaction was, this guy is completely out of his mind. He's not crazy. I picked up my coffee and took a sip. The bitterness spread across my tongue. He's just testing my boundaries. Testing what boundaries? Testing whether I actually have the guts to divorce him. I handed him the list. He thinks I won't go through with it. He thinks I can't survive without him.
Rinjisha took the list and flipped through 2 pages. His eyes grew wider and wider with every second.
Jiang Wan, where on earth did you dig all of this up? Over the past year. Little by little. He gasped. You, a year ago, already knew he was cheating? To be precise, I found out a year and 3 months ago. My voice was dead calm.
He went on a business trip to Paris.
But in reality, he took that woman with him when his assistant was booking the tickets. They accidentally sent the itinerary to my email inbox. Even though they were called it 2 minutes later, I had already seen it. Then why are you only taking action now? Because back then, the evidence wasn't enough. A single itinerary doesn't prove anything. He could have easily claimed the assistant made a mistake. I needed more. Real proof. Evidence so ironclad that he wouldn't be able to talk his way out of it.
Ring Jisai stared at me, his eyes filled with mixed emotions.
Tao Wang, you've changed. I haven't changed. I smiled slightly. I've just finally stopped pretending. That's right. I'm done playing along. For the past 3 years, I've been putting on an act. Pretending to be gentle. Pretending to be understanding. I'd pretend I didn't care when he stayed out all night. I'd just smile and say it was fine. When he forgot our wedding anniversary, I'd tell him I understood how busy work got. When he came home carrying another woman's perfume, I pretended I couldn't smell a thing. I forced myself to play the part of the perfect Mrs. Shen. Always gentle, always elegant, and never, ever showing anger.
But Mrs. Shen isn't who Jiang Wan really is.
The real Jiang Wan gets angry. She gets hurt. And she sits on the balcony alone, drinking in the middle of the night. She asks the empty air, why? Jiang Wan was never some meek, submissive little woman. I only did it because I loved him. I hid my sharp edges. I wore myself down and molded myself into exactly who he wanted me to be. But even after I changed everything for him, he still cheated on me. So I'm going to be myself again. Ring Jisha slipped the list into her bag and asked me, what do you want? First, I have all the proof of his infidelity. Under the marriage law, he should get next to none of our marital assets. I want the Yulongbei villa under his name. It was bought after we married, paid for with joint marital assets. Second, I want 15% of the company's shares. That's the price he pays for his betrayal. Third, he must issue a public apology. He must pin that apology statement to the top of his social media feed and keep it there for at least a month. Bing Shizai raised an eyeball. His company is valued at least 2 billion yen. 15% of that is 300 million won. He going to lose his mind when he was cheating on me. Why didn't he stop to think how it would drive me crazy? I said, my voice dead calm. Besides, I have exactly what it takes to push him over the edge. I pulled a flash drive out of my bag and slid it across the table to Lin Jixia. In this drive are all of Shen Yando's tax records from the past 3 years. His company has been illegally issuing fake value-added tax invoices. The total amount is over 80 million. On top of that, he has 2 offshore accounts overseas, none of which he ever declared. Ling Jisa's face fell. Jiang Wan, where did you get all this? Was it through legal channels? I smiled. His assistant accidentally sent the files to the wrong email address. I just happened to catch a glimpse of them. And as for those offshore accounts, he wrote the details down in his notes app himself. The password was my birthday. I have no idea why he kept them on his phone. I guess he figured I would never actually go through his phone, but I did. Well, he was in the shower, in the dead of night. When he thought I was fast asleep, I felt like a thief, digging through every single corner of his phone. Every single time my heart was in my throat. Every single time. I felt like I was committing a crime. But I don't feel that way anymore. Because the one who betrayed our marriage is him, not me. I'm just gathering evidence. Ring Jishak took a deep breath and put away the USB drive. I'll have the first draft of the divorce agreement ready by tomorrow. But Jiang Wan, I have to warn you. Shen Yanzhou isn't the type to just back down. He has the entire Shen family backing him and the interests of their whole empire at stake. Once you touch his slice of the pie, he will never let you off the hook. I know, I replied. That's why I still have 1 card left to play. What card? I looked at him, a slow smile spreading across my face. Ling Dricky, do you still remember the award I won back in our sophomore year? He froze for a second. Then, his eyes widened in shock. The best debater at the national mock trial competition. Exactly, I said. And I passed the bars exam.
名记下 open 是吗?
But couldn't find the words. You never told me you actually got your law license. Because I didn't think I'd ever need it. I gave a soft sigh. After I married Shen Yanzhou, he told me to stop working. He wanted me to stay home and be a full-time housewife. And I actually did it. For 3 whole years, I was just a dutiful housewife. I spent every day arranging flowers and cooking, just waiting for him to come home. I paused for a moment. My voice softened, but he had no idea that all those hours I spent waiting for him, day after day, I was actually studying. In 3 years, I got my CPA, passed the bars exam, and even mastered 2 foreign languages.
云只是爱我的提示。骄傲。
Don't pity me, I said, cutting her off. I don't need pity. What I need is to win. Yes, I am going to win. Not for the money. Not for revenge. Not even to prove a point. I just wanted to realize that the woman he betrayed was never some cheap accessory he could just throw away.
I'm Jiang Wan.
I deserve to be treated with respect. What he couldn't give me? I'll get it myself. By the time Shen Yanzhou tracked me down at the hotel, I was already having breakfast. The hotel buffet was massive. I sat by the window as the warm sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling glass, draping over my shoulders. In front of me sat a simple bowl of plain congee, the side of pickles,
And a single boiled egg.
It was far too peaceful for a woman in the middle of a divorce. Perhaps he expected to see a disheveled, tear-stained version of Jiang Wan. Too bad for him. I wasn't that woman. He stood at the entrance of the dining room, dressed in a sharp suit, with every single strand of hair perfectly in place. I had to admit, Shen Yanzhou was a remarkably handsome man. At 32, his features were sharp and defined, his build tall and commanding, exuding the cold, high-class arrogance that only the elite possess. Men like him always command the room, no matter where they go. But right now, the look on his face is anything but pleasant. A dark rage is simmering in his eyes. His jaws clenched tight, as if he's desperately trying to hold himself back. He storms over to me, his steps fast and heavy. His leather shoes click sharply against the marble floor. A few other guests look up at him before looking back down to finish their breakfast. He sits down right across from me. He doesn't order anything, and he doesn't say a word. I just keep eating my porridge, taking my time, bite by slow bite.
Jiang Wan. He finally speaks, his voice low and raspy.
It sounds like he barely got any sleep. Have you had enough of throwing this fit? I'm eating breakfast.
I say calmly. If you're not going to eat,
You can leave. He glares at me for a few long seconds, before suddenly reaching out and shoving my bowl aside. What on earth do you want? That post. He says, Zhen Jiao told me to post it. He said doing that would get you to bring up a divorce. I didn't actually want to divorce you. I just wanted to see if you'd care. But look at you. Not only do you not care, you actually liked the post. I put down my spoon and look him dead in the eye. So you posted that just to test if I still care about you? Yes. Then what if I don't? His face stiffens for a fraction of a second. You don't care? He repeats my words, his voice tinged with sheer disbelief.
Jiang Wan. You don't care about me? Do you really think I should?
I shoot back. You're gone 5 out of 7 days a week, and when you are home, you don't say a single word to me. Your phone is locked. Your computer is locked. Your study is locked. You've never spent a single holiday with me. You can't even remember my birthday? So tell me, why should I care about a husband like that?
Shen Zhenjiao's frown deepened.
I've been busy with work.
Busy with work? But you had plenty of time to fly to Paris with her. The room fell dead silent. His eyes narrowed. He swallowed hard. What do you mean, Paris? What are you talking about?
Cut the act, Shen Yanzhou.
I picked up my napkin and casually wiped my mouth. Last September, you went to Paris on a business trip for 7 days. But you only spent 3 of those days in meetings. And the other 4 days? You spent them taking Song Chuan to the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, and the Seine. You even bought her a Cartier bracelet, which cost 48,000 euros. You charged it to the company's corporate card and wrote it off as a marketing expense. His face turned pale. It wasn't just surprise, it was sheer shock. He probably never expected me to know the details so thoroughly, or that I would remember the exact amount down to the last digit. How did you find out? His voice dropped to a whisper,
Laced with a dangerous edge.
Take a guess, I said, offering a cold smile. I stood up and grabbed my bag, getting ready to leave. He lunged up from his seat, grabbing my wrist in a tight grip. Listen to me. Let go. My voice wasn't loud, but it was freezing cold. He froze. For 3 years, he had never heard me speak to him in that tone. In the past, whenever he grabbed my wrist, I would blush and lower my head, secret the thrill that he actually wanted to touch me. But now, with his hand around my wrist, I felt nothing but utter disgust. He slowly let go. I turned and walked away without looking back. As I stepped out of the restaurant, my hands were trembling, not from fear, but from sheer rage, as all those emotions I thought I had buried came rushing back. The moment I saw him, it all came rushing back. Paris, Cartier, the Eiffel Tower. Those words were like knives, carving into my heart, one slow slash at a time. But I didn't look back, because I knew the moment I turned around, I'd lose. Once I got back to my room, Lin Jie sent me a text.
Shen Yanzhou's lawyer contacted me.
It was Zhou Minwen.
Zhuo Lingwan, the most expensive divorce attorney in the city.
Who only handles high-end divorce cases, charging by the hour. $5,000 an hour. Shen Yanzhou hiring him proved one thing. He finally realized this wasn't a game. I texted back a single word. Fine. Then I opened my laptop and started compiling the 3rd list of evidence. The first list was proof of his infidelity. The second was proof of tax and asset fraud. And the third was all about Song Qingwan.
Song Chuan, 28 years old.
Marketing director at Shen Yanzhou Company, an MBA graduate from a prestigious university. Highly capable, stunningly beautiful. The kind of woman who commands the spotlight wherever she goes. She's been working at his company for 2 years. Just 2 years, she climbed from entry level to director.
But that's not the point.
The point is, she didn't even know him before she was hired. A complete stranger. How does she skip 3 ranks in 2 years? Your talent? Maybe. But I dug into her resume. At her previous company, she worked for 3 years. And never even made team lead. And that's still not the real kicker. Here's what actually matters. In the late of Dr. Locke, the exact same month she joined the company, Shen Yanju started taking frequent business trips. Late nights turned into staying out all night.
The timeline is crystal clear.
Every single transaction, every hotel bill, every suggestive text message. I kept every single receipt. I'm not the type to bring up the past.
Big Senyeso forced my hand.
He says I'm just making a scene. Fine. I'll show him what making a scene really looks like. At 2 p.m., I got a call from Shen Yao's mother. On the other end, her voice was as gentle and elegant as always.
Wan, dear. I heard you and Yaju had a fight.
It's normal for couples to have their little disagreements. Don't take it to heart. Yeah, Job has a bit of a temper. I'll give him a good talking to later. In the past, I would have smiled and said, Mom, it's fine. We're just messing around. Then, I'd go right back to playing the perfect daughter-in-law. I would have kept swallowing my pride and kept pretending everything was absolutely perfect. But today, I'm done pretending.
Mrs. Shen,
I said. There was a 2-second silence on the other end. What did you just call me?
Mrs. Shen,
I repeated. Yanzhou and I are getting a divorce. Once the paperwork goes through, I will no longer be your daughter-in-law. So from now on, it's only appropriate that I call you Mrs. Shen. Her voice shifted instantly. A Hanemtanana crept in. Divorce? That social media post Yanzhou made. Wasn't that just a joke? Are you two actually divorcing? He might be joking, but I'm not. I continued. Mrs. Shen, thank you for taking care of me these past 3 years. I'll still come visit you sometimes. With that, I hung up. This time, I didn't feel any pain. When I married into the Shen family 3 years ago, I thought I had finally found a home. My mother-in-law was warm to me, and while my father-in-law was strict, he was at least respectful. I really thought they had accepted me with all their hearts, that they actually saw me as family. But then, I found out the truth. Mother Shen was only nice to me because I was the daughter-in-law she handpicked. She didn't care about who I was as a person. She only cared about my fortune. A fortune teller told her my destiny would bring Shen Yaozhou luck and make his career skyrocket. And I really did bring him luck. In the 3 years since I married him, his company's value tripled. And how did he reward me? By cheating. That night, Shen Yanzhou called again. This time, I didn't hang up. I answered. Jiang Wan. His voice sounded exhausted. Come home. Let's have a proper talk. You want to talk in person? I asked. Then let's meet at a law firm. I said tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. At Lingji's law firm. You hired Ling Jisha? He paused. But aren't you two friends? Doesn't it violate professional ethics for him to represent you? Just because we're friends doesn't mean he can't act as my legal counsel. You don't need to make excuses to stall. Tomorrow at 10, I'll bring all the paperwork. And if you don't show up, we file a lawsuit directly. Sue me? For what? Infidelity? For transferring marital assets and... I paused. Bigamy. A sharp, crashing sound came from the other end of the line, like something had been violently smashed onto the floor. What did you say? Shen Zhaozou's voice completely changed. It became sharp and frantic. Bigamy? Are you out of your mind? I'm not joking. My voice was dead calm. Tang Qingwan gave birth to a daughter last December. Her name is Shen Nian. And your name is written right there in the father's section of the birth certificate. The other end of the line went dead silent. All I could hear was the sound of Shen Yanzhou's rapid, heavy breathing. He was panicking, losing all control. How did you know? His voice was trembling. Like I said, take a wild guess. I hung up the phone. The screen displayed a call duration of 4 minutes and 12 seconds. 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Just enough time to reduce a high and mighty man to a pathetic wreck. I set the phone down on the table, walked over to the window, and looked out at the city skyline at night. The lights in this city are beautiful. A sea of glowing homes. And behind every single light, there is a story. My story used to be beautiful too. A beautiful beginning, followed by a toxic, messy plot. But I am going to write a highly satisfying, sweet revenge ending. Yes, a satisfying revenge story. But not just some typical girl boss comeback plot. It is the story of a woman who finally, truly learns to love herself. Yunji Sa's right. I have changed. I am no longer that naive little girl who made love her entire world. My name is Jiang Wan, and I'm going to take back everything that belongs to me, including my dignity. The next morning, at 9:45, I arrived early at Lin Jisi's law firm. The firm was located in a prime skyscraper in the heart of the central business district.
Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows lay the city's most bustling skyline.
Brain Jisha's assistant poured me a glass of water, and I sat on the sofa, waiting, flipping through the printed evidence in my hands. The thick stack of 137 pages. Every single page was a knife that Shen Yanzhu had handed me himself.
Only, he just didn't know it yet.
At 10 o'clock sharp, the door to the conference room swung open.
When Shen Yanzhou walked in,
I barely recognized him.
we hadn't seen each other for just a single day.
Yet dark stubble shadowed his jaw. His eyes were completely bloodshot,
And his tie hung loosely around his neck.
looking as if he hadn't slept a wink all night.
In stark contrast, Zhou Mingwen, walking in behind him, looked sharp and energetic.
Dressed in a perfectly tailored suit.
Carrying the briefcase,
With a professional smile plastered across his face.
the moment Shen Yanzhu laid eyes on me,
His steps faltered.
I knew exactly what he was looking at. Today I was wearing a wine-red dress, with my hair cascading over my shoulders and wearing light makeup.
I was no longer the plain, bare-faced woman of the past.
The Jiang Wan, who always wore pale, boring clothes.
Instead, I was a stranger now. A woman who made him feel deeply uneasy. He sat down across from me.
Staring at me with a gaze filled with conflict.
Jiang Wan. His voice was incredibly hoarse.
What you said yesterday, was it really true?
Which part do you mean? I casually turned a page of the documents.
The part about bigamy?
Or the part about your illegitimate daughter.
Zhu Mingwen's smile instantly froze.
Underneath the table,
Shen Yanzhou clenched his hands into tight fists.
His knuckles turning stark white.
Shennan is not my daughter.
he hissed, keeping his voice dangerously low.
Don't go believing rumors. I pulled a single sheet of paper from the file and slid it to the center of the table.
It was a DNA paternity test report.
The testing agency was the Municipal
Judicial Expertise Center, and the test date was 3 months ago.
The results showed a 99.99% probability of a biological relationship between Shen Yazhou and Shen Yan. This is a copy I retrieved directly from the Judicial Expertise Center.
I said, if you have any objections,
We can always apply for a retest.
Shan Zhang's face drained of all color.
He stared at the report.
if it's staring at something that shouldn't even exist.
His lips trembled several times, but to the end, he couldn't utter a single word.
Zhu Mingyuan reached out, took the report, and read through it carefully. Then, he set it down and cleared his throat. Miss Jiang, we will need to verify the source of this document.
Without confirming its legitimacy first, it cannot be used as evidence.
Of course, I smiled.
That's why I prepared something else. I pulled out another stack of documents and slid them over.
These are the hotel check-in records for Shen Yanzhou and Song Tingwan over the past 2 years.
47 times in total, and 35 of those times were right here in this city. 12 of those times were out of town. Simplest images.
And every single time, they registered as husband and wife.
I also retrieved some of the hotel surveillance footage.
It proves beyond a doubt that they were sharing the same room. Here are the receipts for the jewelry Shen Yazhou bought for Song Tingwan, along with clothes and other luxury items.
The total amount exceeds 3 million non.
Every single cent came from Shen Yan.
Zhou's personal account, meaning they are legally joint marital property.
This is a statement from Song Tingwan's neighbor, Cheng Yan,
proving Chen Zhao visited her apartment at least 3 times a week.
And regularly spent the night.
The neighbors all assumed they were husband and wife,
And Song Qingwan openly referred to Shen Yazhou as her husband. This is the birth certificate of Song Qingwan's daughter.
Under the father's section, it clearly states Shen Yanzhou's name. I placed the last piece of paper right on top of the pile. This is a photo of Shen Yanzhou and Song Qingwan from last year's QC festival.
In the photo, you can see a diamond ring on Song Qingwan's finger.
The purchase records for this ring show that Shen Yanzhou bought 2 identical rings at the exact same time. One was given to Song Qingwan,
And the other, I stretched out my left hand.
my ring finger was completely bare. The other was given to me.
Our wedding ring. The meeting room fell so dead silent that the only sound was the low hum of the central air conditioning.
Sun Anzhou's expression shifted from sheer shock to absolute terror.
Yes, terror. This man finally realized that he wasn't facing a weeping, helpless wife,
But an enemy holding a razor-sharp blade.
Xiaolong,
His voice was trembling.
how long have you been tracking me?
1 year and 3 months.
I said calmly, ever since the very first time you took her call in the study.
Thinking I was downstairs and couldn't hear you.
He closed his eyes.
Zhou Mingyan went through the documents.
His face growing increasingly grim. He turned to Shen Yanzhou
And whispered something in a low voice. Shen Yazhou shook his head, then nodded,
As if wrestling with an agonizing decision.
Miss Jiang, Zhou Mingwan turned to face me.
My client is willing to renegotiate the division of assets.
What are your terms?
I slide the divorce agreement drafted by Lin Ju over.
First,
I get the villa in Yulongbai.
Second, 15% of the shares in the companies under Shen Yanzhou's name will go to me.
Third, Shen Yanzhou must pin a public apology to the top of his social media moments. The content will be drafted by me.
And it must stay up for at least 30 days.
Fourth, Song Jinwan must reside from the company within 10 days.
And she is forbidden from receiving any form of compensation from Shen Yanzhou or any of his affiliated companies. Jiang Wan finishes reading the agreement. His face looks incredibly tense.
Miss Jiang, this demand for 15% of the shares is not very realistic. My client is the founder of the company.
15% means he could lose actual control of the company. He isn't losing control of his company. I interrupt him. What he is losing is a wife.
And what I'm losing is 3 years of my youth, 3 years of trust, and 3 years of losing myself. 15% is already a discounted price.
Shen Yanzhou suddenly snaps his eyes open and stares at me. There's something in his eyes that I can't quite read.
You weren't like this before.
He says. I ask, what was I like before?
Gentle.
Understanding.
That was just an act, I say. Because you liked gentle.
Understanding women. Just to make you like me.
I forced myself to become someone else entirely.
He swallows hard. He swallows. And what about now?
Now?
I smile faintly. Now, I only want to be myself.
Jiang Wan and Shen Yanzhou speak in hushed whispers for a few minutes. I catch a few scattered words.
Taxes, offshore accounts. Too risky.
Jiang Wan's expression grows heavier and heavier.
Finally, he lets out a long, heavy sigh.
Miss Jiang, Jiang says, aside from the division of assets,
we can accept your other terms. But regarding the 15% stake, that is something we need to renegotiate.
It is non-negotiable, I say. Miss Jiang,
you have to understand,
the company does not belong to Mr. Shen alone. There are other shareholders.
Transferring a 15% stake requires board approval. They go sign off on it.
I added, or I could just hand these documents over to the Financial Bureau and the Economic Investigation Unit
and let them sign off on it instead.
Shen Yanzhou slammed a hands on the table and stood up.
His chair slid backward,
crashing against the wall with a loud bang.
Are you threatening me?
I'm just stating the facts,
I said, looking up to stare directly into his eyes.
宣滥就防此易许赢势别保育
Thank you. Totaling 83 million yuan.
plus 24 million yuan in undeclared financial records.
Add those two up and it's enough to send you away for 7 to 10 years. His chest heaved violently, the veins on his temples throbbing with rage.
Every single penny of that money was used to grow the company.
It wasn't for my personal use.
The law doesn't care how it was spent. It only cares about the facts. I continued. Did you really think I didn't know you were transferring company funds to offshore accounts? I even know which 2 accounts you used.
One is in the Cayman Islands,
and the other is in Switzerland.
Over the past 3 years, you've transferred a total of 42 million US dollars, and you never declared a single cent of it. You're going to prison.
Slowly, he slumped back into his chair,
as if all the strength had been completely drained from him.
Jiang Wan adjusted his glasses,
his tone turning extremely cautious. Ms. Jiang, where exactly did you get this information? I said, I already told you.
Through legal channels.
I leaned back in my chair,
looking completely relaxed.
Shen Yanzhou loved setting all his passwords to my birthday.
His phone passcode.
His computer password, even his bank account passwords. Every single one.
He probably thought I would never check up on him.
Shen Yanzhou's face contorted with anger.
You went through my phone? I went through absolutely everything. I continued. Your phone, your computer, your briefcase,
and even the safe in your study.
And yes, the passcode to the safe was my birthday too.
Shen Yanzhou, don't you think you got a little too lazy?
He opened his mouth, but couldn't find his voice.
Not a single sound came out.
In this very moment, this man finally broke down completely.
I've seen Shen Yanzhou in many ways. The master strategist negotiating business deals, the high-flying, confident man at banquets,
and the cold, distant husband he was to me. But I've never seen him like this.
Like a tiger with its teeth pulled out. All his pride and confidence completely drained, leaving nothing but raw, pathetic misery. What do you want? He asked, his voice raspy. I already told you. Aside from those, he stared at me.
What is it that you want? Money?
The house? Shares? Or do you just want to see me dead? I fell silent for a few seconds, and then slowly shook my head.
Shen Yanzhou, do you still not get it? Get what?
The things I wanted. You can't give me. He frowned, looking completely bewildered. I wanted a loyal husband, I said. I wanted a marriage built on trust. I wanted a home, a truly warm home, not a cold, lifeless mansion. These things you never gave me. His lips parted slightly, as if he wanted to say something, and in the end, he said nothing. So now, I only want what I deserve. I stood up and packed the documents into my bag. You have 1 week to think it over. After 1 week, if I still don't have an answer, I will file a lawsuit directly with the court. And I will file real name reports with the tax bureau and the disciplinary board.
I turned and walked toward the door. Then, his voice came from behind me, carrying a vulnerability I had never heard before.
I stopped in my tracks, but didn't turn around. What if I say I'm sorry? What are you sorry for? What are you sorry for? I asked,
For everything? I let out a bitter laugh.
Shen Yanzhou.
Do you know how long I've been waiting to hear those 3 words? He didn't say a word. I've waited for a whole year and 3 months. I said, during every single night you didn't come home. Every single moment I stared at that other woman's photos. Every time I actually thought you would explain. Or apologize. Or try to win me back. I waited until my heart turned completely cold. I waited until my tears ran dry. Until I finally realized it's not that you don't know how to apologize. It's just that you don't think you're wrong. You genuinely believe you did nothing wrong. Because you've never once seen me as your equal. Sure, I'm your wife. But to you, I'm nothing more than your possession. And possessions don't need respect. They don't need explanations or apologies. I turned around to face him. He just sat there, looking like a criminal on trial. And now, you're saying I'm sorry? Not because you actually regret what you did, I said, but because you finally realized you're about to lose something. Your money, your reputation, and your freedom. You aren't apologizing. You're apologizing to the lifestyle you're losing. His eyes welled up with tears. I couldn't tell if it was from regret or pure fear. Maybe it was both. But honestly, I didn't care anymore.
Goodbye, Jiang.
I pushed the door open and walked out. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever. My heels clicked sharply against the floor. Each step I took was firm and steady. In order,
No hesitation.
and absolutely no looking back. Shikil was waiting for me at the office door. Seeing my expression, they let out a sigh of relief. Did the talk fall through? No, I said. They'll agree to our terms. You're that confident?
Because the things Shen Yanzhou cares about the most.
Happen to be the exact things I hold in my hands. I look at him. He cares about money. He cares about his reputation, and he cares about his freedom. To protect these 3 things, he will agree to absolutely anything.
Grinchishat pulls me into his office.
Shuts the door, and suddenly hugs me tight. Jiang Wan, you were absolutely badass today. I can barely breathe in his tight grip, but I still smile. Thank you, Jixia. Thank you for what? Thank you for not telling me to just suck it up and endure it. Lin Jie lets go of me and rolls his eyes. If I told you to endure it, then I wouldn't be Lin Jie. How many times have I told you?
认样就都是子错语。
On the day you married him, I wanted to say exactly that. Like seeing you looking so happy, I just didn't have the heart to ruin it. Well, you can say it now. There's no need to say it now. He pulls me over to sit down, because you already know it yourself. Yes, I know it now. Shen Yanzhou doesn't deserve me. And it's not because I'm not good enough, but because he is the one who isn't good enough. He doesn't deserve my sincere love. He doesn't deserve my waiting. And he certainly doesn't deserve me hiding all my sharp edges just to play the part of the perfect woman he wanted. From this moment on, I will never hide my sharp edges for anyone ever again. After leaving the law firm, I make a trip to the Civil Affairs Bureau by myself. Of course, I'm not here to file for divorce just yet. I just want to take a look at the divorce counter. There's a long line snaking in front of the window. Some couples are arguing, some are crying, and some are completely expressionless. There were even some people laughing. The one laughing was a woman. She looked to be in her early 30s. Holding a divorce certificate in her hand, she was beaming, looking as proud as if she were holding a trophy. Inside her, her ex-husband's face was dead pale. Bluttered under his breath. You're definitely going to regret this. But the woman just walked away without even looking back. Her steps so light and bruisey, it looked like she was dancing. I stood at the entrance, watching for a moment, and couldn't help but smile. Maybe not long from now, I'll be just like her. Walking out of the registration office with my own divorce papers, feeling the warm sun on my face. Finally. Free. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Shen Yanzhou. Jiang Wan, can we please meet? Just to talk. Properly. We won't talk about the divorce. Just about us. I typed out a few words, deleted them, and after doing that a few times, I decided not to reply. At all. Some people just aren't worth the screen time. He sent another message. I know I messed up. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, but at least give me a chance to explain. An explanation? What is there left to explain? His cheating is a fact. Having a child with her is a fact. His lies are a fact. Can an explanation change any of those facts? Can an explanation turn back time? Can an explanation give me back my 3 years? No. So I won't give him the satisfaction. Just as I was about to lock my phone, another message popped up. This time, it wasn't Shen Yanzhou. It was an unknown number. Sister Jiang Wan. It's Song Wan. Can we meet? I stared at her name for a few seconds, my thumb hovering over the screen. So Quinn. That woman has finally shown her face. She asked to meet me at a Japanese restaurant. Her choice of venue was interesting, to say the least. It is an incredibly expensive Japanese restaurant, one that Shen Yanzhou and I used to go to all the time. Even the owner knows us. Every time we went, he would send over a complimentary sashimi platter, smiling and saying, "Please enjoy, Mr. and Mrs. Shen." What is Song Wan trying to pull by choosing this place? Is she trying to mark her territory? Is she showing off? Or does she genuinely just like the ambiance?
I didn't know. And honestly, I didn't care.
And I went anyway.
Not because I wanted to see her.
But because I wanted to see exactly what kind of woman could make Shen Yanzhou destroy our marriage.
Inside the private dining room,
Song Qiwan was already waiting.
She was wearing a white dress,
With her long hair draped over her shoulders.
And her makeup done flawlessly. I had to hand it to her. She really is beautiful. Not that generic, plastic, influencer kind of pretty, but a sharp, unforgettable kind of beauty that demanded attention.
there was a calculating look in her eyes.
You could tell at a glance she wasn't someone to be messed with.
A teapot sat in front of her. As I walked in,
She stood up, wearing a perfectly practiced smile. Jiang Wan, thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I took my seat, skipping the pleasantries entirely, and asked her flat out, what do you want?
she poured a cup of tea and gently slid it toward me, her movements elegant and calm. I want to talk to you about Yanzhou.
You call him Jill?
I picked up the cup.
And gently blew on the hot tea.
Are you two that close?
Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second. Jiang Wan.
I know you hate me.
If I were in your shoes, I'd hate me too.
But things aren't quite what you think.
Between Yanzhou and me,
Between you and Shen Yanzhou, there was a daughter. I cut him off. Shen Yanzhou's name is right there on the birth certificate.
how exactly do you explain that?
His fingers tightened around his teacup. Shen Ningyan is indeed Jiangzhou's daughter. He lowered his head.
But this whole thing isn't just Yanzhou's fault.
I scoffed, raising an eyebrow. Then whose fault is it?
Is it my fault? Should I not have married him?
Or should I have never given him the chance to have a child with me?
That's not what I meant. She looked up.
Her eyes pooling with tears.
Sister Jiang Wan,
I know I've done something unforgivable, but I truly love Yanzhou.
I've loved him for such a long time.
Did you know?
Jiazhou and I knew each other back in college.
We used to be together. My fingers stiffened.
you two
Were together?
Yes. Song Tingwan's tears finally spilled over. During our sophomore year,
Jiazhou and I started dating.
We were together for 2 years, but then his family disapproved. They told him he had an arranged marriage, so he broke up with me.
an arranged marriage?
Yes, Shen Yazhou did have one once. His parents had arranged a marriage for him during his college years. The other party was the daughter of another wealthy family, but when that family's business ran into trouble,
The engagement was
called off. Later on, his father had a fortune teller read our birth charts.
The master said my chart would bring the best fortune to Shen Yanzhou. And just like that, I became Mrs. Shen.
I thought I was his first choice. It turns out, I wasn't even his second.
So, did you join his company on purpose?
I asked. No, it wasn't on purpose.
Song Qingwan wiped her tears. I had already given up on him.
I really did. I moved to another city and started a whole new life. But 2 years ago,
I ran into Yanzhou at an industry conference.
he said he still remembered me and that he was so happy to see me again. Then, he asked if I wanted to work at his company.
He said his company needed someone capable.
And so, you went.
I did.
She looked up. Sister Jiang Wan,
I know you won't believe me, but when I went there, I really didn't have any other intentions.
I just wanted a good job.
And to be a little closer to him.
but then,
You two rekindled your old flame. She fell silent for a few seconds.
Then nodded.
I'm sorry. I looked at her tears and suddenly found it almost laughable.
Song Kyung-gwam.
What are you crying for?
She froze. Do you feel wronged?
I continued. You think you love him and that he loves you back. You think I'm the one standing in your way, don't you?
I didn't mean it like that. Oh, you meant exactly that. I set my teacup down.
My voice turned cold. You think you're so innocent.
You think this is true love and that I'm the interloper who stole your place.
So you don't actually feel the need to apologize to me. In fact, you probably think I'm the one.
Who owes you an apology, right? Her tears stopped falling.
An embarrassed, uneasy look crossed her face, realizing she'd been completely seen through.
Song Qingwan, I looked into your background.
I said, after you and Shen Yanzhou broke up, you got married once. Your ex-husband's name is Wang Hao.
He was in the foreign trade business.
You were married for 2 years. And the reason for your divorce was your infidelity. Her face paled.
How do you know all this?
Like I said, I looked into your history. I leaned back in my chair, my tone flat.
You're not some tragic, devoted woman waiting for her first love.
You just have a habit of ruining other people's marriages and then playing the victim.
It's not like that.
Then what is it like?
I stared at her. Do you dare deny making the first move when you were working at Shenya's company? Do you dare deny crying to him about how hard your life has been all these years?
Do you dare deny intentionally creating opportunities to be alone with him when he was drinking? She opened her mouth.
But nothing came out.
You dare. I'll say it for you. Because you did every single one of those things.
Everything you did was to make him fall back in love with you. You didn't go after him because you loved him. You did it just to prove you're better than his wife.
Her eyes welled up with tears again, but this time,
It wasn't from feeling wrong, it was pure rage.
What do you know?
Her voice shrieked.
Do you have any idea what it feels like to be abandoned by the person you love?
Do you know what it feels like to watch the one you love marry someone else? You don't know a damn thing. Actually, I do, I said.
Because I am going through it right now.
She froze.
Shen Yanzhou abandoned me.
By cheating on me.
When I look back, every single date he went on with you, every single lie, and every half-hearted excuse was screaming at me that he didn't love me anymore.
He chose you.
He chose your daughter. He chose your daughter. He chose to betray our marriage.
So yes, I know exactly what it feels like to be abandoned. More than anyone.
But the difference between you and me is
I would never tear apart someone else's marriage.
just to heal my own wounds. Your pain is your own responsibility.
It is never an excuse to hurt someone else.
I picked up my bag, preparing to leave.
Jiang Wan called out, stopping me.
Her voice was shaking. Can you please let Yanzhou go?
Please, don't hand that evidence over to the authorities.
He'll go to prison.
He really will go to prison.
That is between him and me.
This is the
I replied coldly. It has nothing to do with you.
I'm begging you.
She stood up, her tears streaming down again.
Shen is still so young.
She can't grow up without a father. If you insist on bearing the consequences alone, then let it be me.
I'll quit my job. I'll leave this city.
I will never see Yanzhou again. Just, please let him go. I'll agree to anything.
I turned around and looked at her tear-stained face.
This woman, at least in this regard, she's better than Shen Yaozhou.
At least she's willing to beg for the person she cares about.
But Shen Yanzhou, he can't even bring himself to say sorry. But I won't let myself go soft.
Sachiwa, had you ever stopped to think about one thing?
Like what?
If Shen Yanzhou really loves you,
Why hasn't he married you?
why does he keep you as the other woman? Why is he letting your daughter grow up bearing the stigma of being illegitimate?
Her face drained of color. He had never planned to actually end up with her. I said, he only ever saw you as a distraction. When you're fun, he comes around. But the moment you become trouble, he discards you. You're lying. Her voice grew sharp and defensive. He loves me. He said he loves me.
He said he loves you? I let out a soft laugh. Then, did he ever say he would marry you?
Did he ever even bring it up? Her lips trembled.
He did.
He said, once he handles things at home, his only home is me. He and I have no children.
We have no shared debt. There is absolutely nothing stopping us from getting a divorce. If he really wanted to marry you,
Who could have asked me for a divorce at any moment, but he never did.
because he didn't want to. No, that's not true. He was just afraid you'd take half his money.
So, is he afraid now?
I asked. Because right now, he's even terrified of going to prison.
But even so, did he ever once offer to marry you?
撒网永远是费时问，空屁地配药。
Because she knew everything I said was true.
A man like Shen Yanzhou,
Will only ever love himself.
he would never sacrifice his own interests for anyone. He would never divorce me for Song Tingwan, just like he would never settle down for me. We are both just passing through his life,
The only difference is that one is the wife.
and the other is the mistress. But deep down, we're exactly the same.
No respect.
No love.
Just disposable trash he can throw away whenever he wants.
I walked out of the restaurant.
By the time I stepped outside, night had already fallen. One by one, the city lights flickered to life. The streets were packed with endless traffic, everyone rushing to get somewhere.
I just stood there on the curb, waiting for a cab.
The wind brushed against me, sending a chill down my spine. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was Shen Yanzhou. Jiang Wan, I've finalized the paperwork to transfer Julongbei Villa to your name.
As for the shares, the board needs to hold a meeting to discuss it.
I'll have an answer for you by next Wednesday.
I've also drafted the public apology. Take a look.
He sent over a screenshot. The apology was incredibly long. It basically said, I, Shen Yanzhou, have caused severe emotional trauma to my ex-wife, Jiang Wan, due to my infidelity.
I hereby offer my deepest, most public apology.
I promise this will never happen again.
Furthermore, I have transferred 15% of my company shares to Ms. Jiang Wan.
It is compensation for my betrayal.
I read through it once and texted back.
Change ex-wife to wife. We aren't divorced yet. You replied instantly. Okay, a minute later, another message popped up. Jiang Wan, are you really not going to give me another chance?
Just one more chance. Please?
I didn't reply. My cab had arrived.
I opened the door and slid into the back seat.
Where to, miss? The driver asked.
I paused, then said, Ruongbei.
The Rulongbei Villa was a property Shen Yazhou bought after we got married. It cost 12 million yuan, and it was registered solely under his name.
On our third wedding anniversary, I mentioned wanting to go see the place.
But he brushed me off, saying it was just an investment and wasn't fit to live in.
Well, now that house belongs to me.
The cab pulled up to the gates of the villa.
I got out and stood right in front of the massive iron gates.
The moonlight was beautiful tonight, shining on the roses in the garden.
Dewdrops clung to their petals.
The villa was designed in a modern Chinese style, with pristine white walls and dark slate tiles.
An osmidas tree stood in the courtyard.
Its blooming season had just passed.
But a faint, lingering scent still hung in the air. I pulled out my keys and unlocked the door. The yard was dead silent,
With only the chirping of insects.
I walked in along the bluest stone path.
pushed open the living room door, and switched on the lights.
The moment the room lit up,
I saw a bouquet of flowers sitting right in the middle of the room.
99 red roses.
A card was tucked into the bouquet.
无份人现养主还这里。家网。
These are the words I owed you when we got married. I'm sorry it's 3 years late. I stood at the door, staring at the bouquet for a long, long time.
Then, I walked over, picked up the flowers, walked back outside, and threw them right into the trash can by the door.
Flowers that come late are better off unsent. An apology that comes late
Is better left unsaid.
I went back inside, shut the door, and blocked Shen Yangzhou's number. From now on,
He will never be able to reach me again, not unless I initiate it.
and I will contact him right after next Wednesday's board meeting. 1 week later,
沈阳就估你拉打。
When Lin Jisha called me,
I had just walked out of the gym.
Drunk in sweat.
The share transfer has been approved.
Rin Shi's voice crackled with uncontrollable excitement.
The full 15%. Not a single decimal point less.
Shen Nanzhou actually had to buy back shares from other board members just to scrape together that 15% to transfer to you.
He only got 23% left in his own hands now.
Even though he's still the largest shareholder,
He no longer holds absolute control. I paused mid-wipe. He bought back those shares? Yes. Spent over 100 million.
领取下载加满。
you really backed him into a corner.
Just to keep that 15% of shares from being diluted and falling into someone else's hands, he sold off several properties under his name.
And even borrowed money from his dad. I fell silent for a few seconds. Over 100 million.
Shen Zhanzhao would rather blow over 100 million
Then give those shares directly to me.
He would rather drown in debt.
then let me become a major shareholder in his company.
This man is willing to lose 1,000 of his own just to take 800 of mine. He agreed, Lin Jisha continued. The public apology is up too.
I took a screenshot. Take a look.
Lei Jisha sent over a screenshot.
Shen Yangzhou had pinned a post to the top of his WeChat moments.
It was the exact apology statement I had reviewed earlier. The comment section was absolutely blowing up. His close friends
And business partners had all seen it.
Some were shocked, some were trying to play peacemaker, and others were just there for the drama.
Chen Zhou commented.
Bro, what is going on with you?
Did you get hacked?
沈阳就电注快。
Jiao Fei commented. Wow, Sister-in-law is savage.
15% of the shares.
Bro Shen, she's literally skinning you alive.
Shen Zhanzhou still didn't reply.
There was only one comment.
Then Sen Yangzhou actually replied to.
It was from an account with a profile picture I didn't recognize.
Betrayed. Hang in there, man.
Shen Yangzhou replied with a single word.
I closed the screenshot.
Said to Lin Jisha. The final draft of the divorce agreement.
Is it ready? Yes, it's done. I sent it to your inbox. Take a look and see if anything needs to be changed. No need, I said. Print it out. We'll meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow at 9 a.m. Are you sure? Positive. I hung up the phone. I sat there in the gym's lounge area. I read through the divorce agreement from beginning to end. The Yulong Bay Villa is mine, and 15% of the company's shares are mine. Our joint marital savings will be split on a 60-40 basis.
60% for me, 40% for him.
This is the price he pays for cheating on me, and it's my legal right. On top of that, I gave up my right to report him to the authorities.
All that tax evasion.
The offshore accounts, and the evidence of fake invoices, I will destroy them all. Not because I'm soft-hearted, but because I never want to have anything to do with him ever again. I'm letting him off the hook.
From now on, we're completely
Even. And of course, there's Song Ting-wan. The agreement makes it very clear.
Sun T1 must resign from the company within 10 days of the divorce being finalized.
and she cannot receive any form of compensation from Shen Yangzhou or his affiliated companies.
If this clause is violated, Shen Jiang will have to pay me 10 million yuan in liquidated damages.
10 million yuan is enough to force him to sell another property.
He won't take that risk.
So, Song Qingwan has to go. As for whether Shen Yangzhou compensates her in other ways after she leaves, that's none of my business. A man who has to be forced into even posting an apology. How devoted do you really expect him to be? The next day, when I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Shen Yangzhou was already waiting at the entrance. He was wearing a black suit, with the hair neatly styled. He looked like he was attending a funeral. Come to think of it, he really was. The funeral of our marriage.
He had deep, dark circles under his eyes.
And a sallow, exhausted complexion. It looked like he hadn't slept a wink all week. Seeing me step out of the car,
His eyes flickered.
His lips parted slightly.
In the end, he only managed 2 words. You're here.
yeah. We walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau side by side, looking just like any other ordinary couple getting a divorce.
The clerk took one look at us. Maybe they thought we were way too calm, like we weren't even here to get a divorce.
Did you bring all your paperwork?
The clerk asked.
Yes, everything is here, I said, handing over the documents.
Shen Yanzhou handed his over too.
The clerk flipped through them.
Staring right at the words infidelity during marriage on our agreement.
Then they looked up and glanced at Shen Yanzhou. There was no judgment in that look. No curiosity either.
Just the pure, cold numbness of someone who has seen it all. I guess too many couples come here to split up every single day.
Affairs are just
All too common. Both parties, please confirm the terms of the agreement.
If there are no objections, sign right here.
I picked up the pen and signed my name on the line for Party B.
I wrote my name, Jiang Wan, neat and clear.
Shen Yanzhou picked up the pen.
His hand was shaking slightly.
The tip of his pen hovered right over the line for Party A. He paused there for about 10 seconds. Then, he finally put pen to paper.
His signature, Shen Yanzhou, was shaky and crooked.
It looked nothing like his usual bold, sweeping signature. The clerk stamped the papers and handed us our divorce certificates.
The covers were bright red, with gold embossed lettering.
I took mine and opened it. In the photo, I was wearing a white shirt.
With my hair tied back, showing a clear forehead. The corners of my mouth were slightly curled up.
It wasn't a smile, but I didn't look sad either.
All right, the clerk said. From today on,
You are no longer husband and wife.
Those words, no longer husband and wife, felt like a pair of scissors. With one sharp snip, they severed the very last connection between Shen Yanzhou and me.
3 years of marriage, gone in an instant.
I stood up, slipped the divorce certificate into my bag,
and turned to walk out.
张一晚，沈阳轴口打出你。
I stopped in my tracks.
Do you hate me?
He asked.
When he asked me, I thought about it for a moment, then shook my head. No, I don't hate you. Why? His voice was barely a whisper, filled with a heavy, unnameable emotion. I did so many things to hurt you, he said. Do you really not hate me at all? Because hating someone is just too exhausting, I told him. I've been exhausted for 3 years straight, and I don't want to carry that weight anymore.
His eyes brimmed with tears.
But I want you to hate me. Till choked out. Because if you hate me, at least it means you still care. Like seeing you like this, utterly indifferent, it makes me feel like I've lost someone I can never, ever get back. Looking at his bloodshot, tearful eyes, I suddenly felt a sharp pang of sorrow. But it wasn't because I felt sorry for him.
It was because I grieved for the girl I used to be. The one who loved him with all her heart.
That foolish girl who dimmed her own light for him, fell down all her sharp edges, and completely lost herself. Only to end up with his cold ultimatum. Get 10 likes on your post, and we'll get a divorce.
But thankfully, that foolish girl is long gone.
Standing here today is Jiang Wan, reborn.
You're right, I said.
You really did lose someone you can never get back. But don't blame me. Lent, you're the one who threw her away with your own hands. With that, I turned on my heel and walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau.
The warm sunlight washed over me,
wrapping me in a gentle warmth. I took a long, deep breath. The sweet, rich scent of osmanthus filled the air.
Autumn was here. A new season and a brand new life. On my very first day as a single woman, the first thing I did was delete every single photo of Shen Yanzhou from my phone.
Our wedding photos, our vacation snapshots,
and our everyday selfies. 347 photos in total. When I got down to the very last photo,
my finger hesitated for a brief second. It was a picture taken on our wedding day. I was in a beautiful white gown, and Shen Yanzhou was in a sleek black suit.
We were standing side by side, right outside the chapel doors. Flower petals were swirling in the air behind us. My eyes were crinkled up in a happy smile. Even Shen Yanzhou had a faint smile on his face. He turned his head to look at me, with a look in his eyes I couldn't quite put into words. Back then, I actually thought that was love.
But looking back now,
maybe he just happened to find me tolerable in that single moment. I tapped the delete button.
The moment the photo vanished,
I suddenly felt incredibly light. It was like dropping a heavy burden I'd been carrying for far too long.
Finally, I could stand tall again.
The second thing on my list was heading to the villa at Yulong Bay. I hired an interior designer to remodel the place. Nothing major. Just updating the furnishings and decor. I was going to throw out all the dark, gloomy furniture Shen Yanzhou loved. I'll replace them with bright light tones. Tear down those cold, lifeless art prints. Hang up beautiful landscapes that I actually like. And switch the curtains to warm, inviting colors. That way, when the sun shines in, the entire room will be filled with warmth. The designer is a really sweet girl, 2 years younger than me, named Sutang. She walked around the villa, jotting down notes and sketching in her notebook. She kept muttering things like, "We can knock down this wall and build a cozy reading nook right here. And maybe put a hanging chair on the balcony." I followed behind her, have a style, and suddenly smiled. "What is it?" She turned around to look at me. "Nothing," I replied. "I just realized. This is the first time anyone has ever asked me how I want to live."
Blamed.
Asking no further questions, She must have guessed what was going on from my expression.
She simply smiled and said, "Don't you worry. I'm going to make your home look absolutely beautiful."
She said your home. Not our home. I liked the sound of that.
Yes, this is my home.
Not Mrs. Shen's home.
怕将晚上
3 days after the divorce, Ling Jisa came over to my villa.
He brought along a bottle of champagne.
Did this thing he wanted to celebrate me being single again. We sat on the floor of the half-finished living room,
Popped open the bottle and toasted each other surrounded by renovation materials.
哎，你我让我试一样这种舌头。
I asked. Things haven't been going too well for him these past few days.
Rijisha replied, taking a sip of his champagne.
His expression was hard to read. His public apology was left pinned for a whole day.
The next day, his mother called and tore him to shreds.
Saying he was an absolute embarrassment. But his dad was even more ruthless.
He straight up threatened to strip him of his control over the company.
I mean, after all, his dad is still the majority shareholder of the Shen Group.
Half of the 23% shares he holds were given to him by his father.
His dad said that if he can't even manage a marriage,
Then he has no business running a company.
I fell silent for a moment. Do you think his dad will actually take it back?
No way, Ling Jisha said. Shen Nanzhao is his only son, after all.
No matter how furious his dad gets, he would never actually hand the business over to an outsider.
But this will definitely destroy his clout on the board.
Those minority shareholders never really respected him in the first place.
Now that they see he can't even handle his own wife,
They'll be even more convinced that he's incompetent.
And what about Song Qingwan?
she resigned. Finished her paperwork yesterday.
None of her coworkers know why she left. Only a few insiders actually know the truth. Word is, Shen Yanzhou gave her a massive payout. It was a pretty hefty sum.
But was kept off the books.
Run through a different account.
There's not much I can do to go after them for that. I remarked. Our agreement only barred Song Qingwan from receiving compensation from the company. But we didn't restrict Shen Yanzhou's personal funds. Who he gives his own money to is his business. And you're not angry? Not at all.
I leaned back against the wall, staring up at the ceiling. What we had is completely over. Whoever he wants to be with,
Or whoever he wants to throw money at, that's on him.
It has absolutely nothing to do with me anymore.
Rijisha stared at me in silence for a moment.
Suddenly letting out a sigh, she said, Jiang Wan,
You know what?
the thing I admire most about you is that when you say you're letting go, you actually let go. It's not that easy to just let go.
I just mean, when you have no choice but to let go, you shouldn't ever look back.
She raised her glass to never looking back.
it clinked like glass against hers. To Jiang Wan, the champagne tasted good.
Sweet, with a nice fizzy kick.
Divorce doesn't seem that scary after all.
What's truly terrifying is being trapped in a loveless marriage.
Thinkly, draining your life away, day by day, until you're nothing but a walking corpse.
I almost became that. Fortunately, I woke up in time. 7 days after the divorce, I got a call from Shen Yanzhou's mother. Her tone was completely different from before. Gone was that condescending, charity-giving attitude of hers, replaced by a touch of cautious hesitation.
Wan, Auntie wants to treat you to a meal.
Let me know when you're free, okay?
Auntie, there's really no need. Please, don't reject me.
Auntie knows Yanzhou did you wrong. I want to apologize to you on his behalf. He didn't ask me to invite you. I wanted to do this myself.
You were married into our family for 3 years, and I never once thanked you properly. I thought about it, and I agreed. Not because my heart softened, but because Mother Shen genuinely never mistreated me. Her kindness toward me might have had motives,
But that kindness
was still real. The two aren't mutually exclusive. We met at a private kitchen restaurant. Mother Shen had booked a private room. It was just the two of us.
She looked older than when I last saw her. A few more strands of gray hair, and the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes had grown deeper.
When she saw me,
Her eyes welled up with tears.
but she quickly held them back. You've lost weight, she said. No, I haven't. I've even gained 2 pounds.
I smiled softly. She sighed.
And place some food onto my plate.
Wan, Auntie is going to be completely honest with you. I failed to raise that boy right.
Ever since he was a kid, I gave him whatever he wanted.
I let him do whatever he pleased.
And look what that did. It spoiled him rotten.
He doesn't cherish anything, and he doesn't know how to be grateful.
Auntie, this isn't all your fault.
I know it's not entirely my fault. Hi,
But I'm his mother. If he makes mistakes, I share the blame. She set down her chopsticks and looked at me.
Wan,
Are you really not going to give him another chance?
no, I'm not.
Why? Because I've already given him plenty of chances.
3 years ago, when he married me, I gave him a chance. 1 year ago, when he cheated on me, I gave him a chance then, too.
On his birthday, I asked him if he remembered what day it was.
He thought about it for ages, then asked if it was my birthday.
I told him no. It was his own birthday.
He forgot his own birthday.
Yet he somehow remembered Song Qingwan's birthday.
Shen's mother's eyes welled up with tears again.
I know about that woman. His father looked into her.
She was his girlfriend back in college.
His father didn't approve of them being together back then, so they broke up.
I thought it was all in the past. I never imagined.
Auntie?
You don't need to explain, I said. What I had with Shen Yanzhou is over.
I don't hate him, and I don't resent him either. I just don't love him anymore.
Shen's mother fell silent for a long time. Then, are you still willing to call me auntie?
She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Of course, I said. You will always be my auntie.
At that, she finally broke down and wept. I handed her a tissue. Honestly, I felt surprisingly calm.
It's not that I've gone cold-blooded. I just don't want to waste another tear on the Shen family. I've already cried for them way too many times.
On the 10th day after the divorce,
I finally did something I'd always wanted to do, but never did. Went to the mall and bought a red
Grass. It wasn't wine red.
It wasn't dark red.
it was a vibrant, true red.
A true red
That burned like fire.
I never used to wear colors like this, because Shen Yanzhou always said red was too flashy.
And that it didn't suit me. He said I looked best in soft, light colors, that they made me look gentle, elegant, and proper.
He was right. Light colors did make me look gentle, elegant, and proper. But I don't want to be gentle, elegant, and proper anymore.
I want to be bold.
I want to be dazzling. I want everyone to see that Jiang Wan isn't defined by just pale, faded colors. When I walked out of the mall wearing that red dress,
The security guard at the door did a double take.
it wasn't that creepy, uncomfortable kind of staring, but just a genuine, appreciative look. I gave him a smile.
He smiled back.
You see? The world can still be a warm place. Sometimes the simple kindness of a stranger is more reliable than any vow made in a marriage.
On the 15th day after the divorce,
I received an unexpected phone call.
It was Shen Yanzhou's assistant, Yao Shou.
Sister Jiang, how have you been lately?
Xiaodu's voice sounded a bit tense.
I'm doing fine. What's up? I wanted to call and apologize to you.
apologize.
For what? Actually, I always knew about Mr. Shen and Miss Song. Mr. Shen had me booking their flights, booking their hotels, and arranging their itineraries. I did all of it. At the time I told myself it was just my job. I thought I shouldn't stick my nose in. But now, I realized just how much pain my actions caused you. I held the phone, staying silent for a few seconds.
夏夏，你让立涛跑了家。
You work for Shen Yanzhou.
It's only natural that you follow his orders. He's the one who actually needs to apologize. But I still feel so guilty.
Chazhou's voice choked up a bit.
Sister Jiang, you're the kindest person I've ever met.
You treat everyone so well.
And you were even better to Mr. Shen. He doesn't deserve you treating him that well.
Thank you, Xiaozhou.
I said. But I don't need anyone else to pity me on his behalf. I've already realized he isn't worth it myself.
And that's enough. I hung up the phone. I stood on the balcony, gazing at the distant skyline.
The city view was beautiful. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and red, making it look just like an oil painting. A question suddenly crossed my mind. What if I had never married Shen Yanzhou? What kind of person would I have become? Maybe I would have become a lawyer, arguing passionately in the courtroom, fighting for my clients' rights. Or maybe I would have started my own business, doing what I truly wanted. Maybe I would have traveled alone, going to so many different places and meeting so many different people. But no matter what, I would be Jiang Wan, not someone's wife, not someone's daughter-in-law, and definitely not anyone's accessory. And the me of right now is finally becoming that very Jiang Wan, even though it's 3 years late, but still better than never starting at all. I picked up my phone and opened my feed. Shen Yanzhou's public apology was still pinned at the top. It already had over 100 likes.
In the comments, some expressed sympathy.
Some were just there for the drama. Some were trying to play peacemaker, and others were blasting him, but he hadn't replied to a single one. I hesitated for a moment and posted a photo on my moments. It was a picture of me in a red dress, standing against the sunset. The caption was only one sentence. Autumn is here. It's time to start over. Less than a minute after posting, Ring Jishi liked the post and commented, "This dress is absolutely gorgeous. Only you could pull this off, Jiang Wan." Tutang liked it too, commenting, "The house is almost ready, waiting for you to come see it." Little Joe liked it too. No comment, just a simple like. I scrolled down further and saw a familiar profile picture. Shen Yanzhou. He liked it too. My heart skipped a beat, but it quickly went back to normal. It was just a like. Back then, his divorce post said, 10 likes and we divorce. I was the first to hit like. And now, on my post about starting anew,
He was the first to like it. Like can be so ironic sometimes, but I won't be like him.
treating a simple like as a game. Because to me,
My life was never a game. A month after the divorce, I moved into the villa at Julongbei.
Xutang had decorated the place beautifully.
Even more beautiful than I had imagined.
A massive landscape painting hung in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows in the living room. It was the painting of a sunrise over the ocean.
Whenever the sunlight streamed in,
The gold in the painting would reflect a warm, gentle glow. The hanging chair on the balcony became my absolute favorite spot.
every morning, I'd sit there, sipping my coffee and looking out at the roses in the garden.
Sikang had planted so many different varieties. Red ones, pink ones, white ones, and yellow ones.
They were blooming in full, vibrant glory. This house finally felt like a home.
A home that was mine, and mine alone.
I also found a job.
Working as a volunteer lawyer at a public interest legal aid center.
There was no pay, but they provided lunch. I wasn't doing it for the money, but to finally do what I actually wanted to do.
Most of the people our center helps are from low-income families, and most of them come to us with marriage or family issues. Sitting behind the desk, I listen to these women pour their hearts out. Stories of domestic abuse, of husbands cheating, of being tormented by their in-laws, and of being abandoned. Every single story reminds me of who I used to be.
Those tears, that silent grievance,
And that unspeakable pain.
I understand all of it. That's why I do everything in my power to help them.
The problem, I draft their legal complaints, help them gather evidence, and connect them with shelters. Sometimes I'm just there to talk, to tell them, you're not alone.
This isn't your fault.
You deserve a much better life. One day, a girl in her early 20s came in and told me her husband was cheating on her. She didn't know what to do. She cried for a long, long time and asked, "Sis, is it because I'm not good enough? Is that why he went to someone else?" I held her hands, looked into her eyes, and said, "You are wonderful. You've always been wonderful. He didn't cheat because you aren't good enough. He did it because he simply doesn't know how to cherish what he has. This is not your fault. Never." The girl cried even harder, but after she let it all out, she wiped her tears and said, "Sis, I want to divorce." "Okay, I'll help you."
That night, I went home
And sat in the hanging chair on my balcony, staring up at the stars.
I suddenly thought of Shen Yanju.
Not because I missed him.
But I just remembered when we first got married.
He actually used to treat me well.
We went to Japan for our honeymoon.
In our Shokima Kyoto.
He held my hand as we walked along the bamboo path. The sunlight filtered through the bamboo leaves and fell gently on his face. His face was so soft then, not cold and distant like it always was later.
He once said we would always be together.
The story? And I said, "Of course we will." Back then, I actually believed he would keep his promise, but he didn't. Promises,
When people make them, they truly mean it.
and when they can't keep them, they mean that too. It's just that feelings change, and I was too blind to see it. My phone buzzed.
邻居掐散的曼斯。江娃，
Are you free tomorrow night?
I have a friend who wants to meet you.
What kind of friend?
A really great friend. He's a guy, single, handsome, gut abs, and he's a lawyer. I laughed. Hey, I don't need you setting me up. It's not a setup. Just making a new friend. Don't you think your social circle has gotten way too small since the divorce? Every day it's just work and home. You don't even have anyone to talk to. I have you. I'm not enough. You need new friends. Thinking in the no ideal. Thinking to return the past take and new possibilities. I thought about it for a moment and agreed. Not because I wanted to date, but because Ling Jixia was right. I needed new possibilities. The next evening, I met the man at a bars. His name was Lucia, and he really was handsome. Way more handsome than Shen Yajou. He was over 6 feet tall, wearing a deep blue shirt, with the sleeves rolled up to his forearms, reveal toned arms, and a subtle, understated watch. His features were deeply defined, with a strong brow and a sharp, straight nose. His thin lips gave him a somewhat cold and aloof vibe. But when he smiled, all that coldness instantly melted away. Instead, it was replaced by a gentle warmth that made me instantly relax.
Hi, I'm Lushan.
He reached out. "I'm Lin Jise's college classmate. Nice to meet you."
I'm Jiang Wan.
I shook his hand. "Lin Jise's college roommate. She has told me all about you." He smiled. "She said you're the coolest woman she's ever met." I glanced at Lin Xia.
She winked at me.
Cool? I was a bit surprised. I never thought of myself as cool.
You got a divorce.
Walked away with 15% of your ex-husband's company shares? Moved into his villa. It even became a public interest lawyer.
Lu Shihan counted them off on his fingers.
If that's not cool, I don't know what is. How do you know all this? Did Lin Jusha tell you? He shrugged, completely unfazed. She said if I didn't know your story, I wouldn't understand why you are the way you are now. I looked at Lin Jixia. She mouthed 2 words. He's solid. I couldn't help but laugh. Dinner was incredibly pleasant. Lu Shihan was a very interesting person. He spoke in a calm, measured way, but every single word hit the mark.
He asked me why I became a public interest lawyer.
Because I want to help people who have gone through what I did, I replied. Aren't you afraid of reliving that painful past? He asked. Pain doesn't just disappear because you run from it, I said. Facing it, accepting it, and then turning it into the strength to help others. That's the lesson I had to learn. The way he looked at me shifted. There was admiration in his eyes, along with something else I couldn't quite put into words.
Jiang Wan, 你 suddenly said, "You know what?
You're even more wonderful than Ling Jisa described. My face grew warm. It wasn't because my heart was fluttering, but because when someone praises you with absolute sincerity, it is only natural to feel a bit self-conscious. After that dinner, Lu Shihan added me on WeChat, and he started texting me. They weren't those slimy, pushy texts with an obvious motive, but just natural, everyday updates. He sent a photo of the lawyer's robes he wore in court today, saying they looked really ugly, but adding that once he puts them on, he's the embodiment of justice. Another time, he sent a photo of him working out at the gym. His abs were definitely there. But he wasn't trying to show them off. It just looked like he caught them by accident. He'd also ask how many clients I helped today, or if I'd run into any particularly difficult cases. I replied to each one. Not too warm, but not cold either. Keeping a polite, friendly distance.
Ringji says, So, what do you think of her?
He's nice, I said. Just nice. For now, he's just nice. I told her I didn't want to rush into another relationship so soon. I need some time to figure out what I actually want.
领取下达讲话
You're just too rational. Is being rational a bad thing? Of course not, she replied. But love sometimes needs a little bit of impulse. I was impulsive for 3 years, I said. I've had enough of impulse. And I really have. I won't jump headfirst into a relationship just because someone is good looking, has a great background, or treats me well. I need to be sure, first, sure that this relationship is worth it, sure that he's the right person, and sure that I won't get hurt all over again. Bushai seemed to understand this. He never rushed me, and never crossed the line from friendship into something more. He was just there, like a beam of gentle light, shining on me from a comfortable distance. Maybe one day, I'll walk toward that light, but not right now. For now, I need to focus on living my own best life. 2 months after the divorce, I made a decision. The stock dividends Shen Yanzhou gave me to establish a charity fund. I named the fund Late Sunshine. The name comes from the poem, Heaven pities the lonely grass, and we cherish the beauty of late sunshine. I want every woman who has been hurt in a marriage to find her own clear blue sky after the storm. Ring Jixia helped me handle all the legal paperwork. Sutan designed the logo for the fund. Lu Shihan introduced me to several investors. The fund's starting capital was 5 million yuan. It wasn't much, but it was enough to help our first group of women in need. Our very first recipient was a girl who had once broken down crying at our counseling center. Her name is Yahweh. She is 23 years old, married for only a year when her husband cheated on her. She had no job, no savings, and no home. Even her own family refused to take her in. When she first came to the counseling center, she only had 300 yuan on her, in a plastic bag stuffed with a few clothes. I found her a lawyer, applied for legal aid on her behalf, and even helped her rent a small apartment. When it came time to sign the lease, her hand shook as she held the pen. Tears fell, drop by drop, onto the contract. She whispered, Sister Wan, I will definitely pay you back in the future. You don't have to, I replied. Once you're back on your feet in the future, just help the next person who needs it. I'll be your way of paying me back. She nodded vigorously. At that moment, I felt that what I was doing was meaningful. It wasn't about revenge or retaliation, but about turning my past pain into kindness for others. This is what it truly means to let go. This is what real victory looks like. By the time the news reached Shen Yanzhou's ears, it was already 2 weeks later. He had his assistant, Xia Zhou, pass along a message to me. Mr. Shen says he truly admires you. Hearing this, I fell silent for a long time. Admire me? Do I really need his admiration? I certainly don't. But I will accept that admiration, because it is exactly what I deserve. I didn't reply. Nor did I ask Yao Zhou to pass along any message, because Shen Yanzhou has completely vanished from my world. I don't hate him, nor do I love him. I just don't care anymore. He was just a passerby in my life. A passerby who taught me what truly matters. As autumn was coming to an end, I received a letter, a handwritten letter. The sender's name was written as Song Tingwan. I opened the envelope. Inside there were 2 pieces of paper. The first page was written in Song Tingwan's handwriting.
私自蒋万来勾告父咸阳柱
It wasn't because of you, but because I finally saw things clearly. He never loved me. All he loved was my adoration for him, how much I needed him, and how I stayed by his side. The moment I stopped adoring him, think, and stopped sticking by him, he threw me away. Thank you for letting me see this. I've already left this city with Shen Nian, and we won't be coming back. I'm sorry. And? Thank you. The second page had a drawing on it.
It was the smiling face of a little girl, with a few crooked words written next to it. Hello, Auntie.
I'm Shania.
I read the letter through once, folded it up, and put it in my drawer.
Jiang Wan isn't a bad person.
She is just a woman who made mistakes.
She had her own pain, her own struggles,
And her own helplessness.
but that doesn't make what she did right.
Nor does it mean I should forgive her.
I don't hate her, but I won't forgive her either.
Some wounds, once they're opened,
Can never truly heal.
the best ending isn't forgiveness. It's not making peace
It's walking away from each other.
and finding peace. Apart. Winter has finally arrived. The underfloor heating in my Rulong Bay villa is finally on.
Walking on it feels so warm and cozy. I laid out a massive rug in the living room.
Threw in a few plush pillows and just curled up there to read.
Sutang says I'm starting to act more and more like a cat. I told her, what's wrong with being a cat? Cats are completely free.
That's for the chini cat. They sleep when they want to, eat when they want to,
And they don't have to please anyone.
When my neighbor came downstairs to crash my dinner, he brought a bottle of red wine and a cat.
This is for you.
He said, gently placing the cat in my arms.
His name is Nanian. He's a stray.
I found him on the street.
You live alone, don't you?
Let him keep you company.
Naninen was a chubby ginger cat with big round eyes.
He curled up in my arms and started purring softly.
I looked down at him, and he looked right back up at me. Hey there.
Mana, I said.
We're roommates from now on.
Let's get along, okay? Lumenji burst out laughing. Next to me.
You're talking to a cat?
Can he even understand you?
He can, I replied. Cats understand everything.
They just choose not to speak. Just like how I used to understand everything,
But chose to stay quiet.
but things are different now.
Now, if I want to speak my mind, I will. If I want to do something, I just do it.
If I want to wear a red dress, I wear a red dress. If I want to get a cat, I get a cat.
I am Jiang Wan, free, independent, and completely whole.
As for Shen Yenso,
The man who once broke my heart.
He is probably out there somewhere, drowning in regret.
But that is none of my business anymore. My story only truly began the day I got divorced.
And as for the ending? There is no ending.
Because my story is still being written.
Every single day is a fresh start.
And every day is worth looking forward to. Outside the window, the first snow of the year begins to fall.
Nan leaps down from my arms
And runs to the window, watching the swirling snowflakes with curiosity.
I raise my glass of red wine.
And gently toast the snowy view outside. To freedom, I say softly. The snowflakes fall silently,
blanketing the entire world.
Like a brand new start.